Welcome to the show, episode 16. Today is Monday, June 8th, 2026. I've got a great show for you tonight. This episode explores how quickly society changes and why parents must focus on developing adaptable, resilient children rather than preparing them for a single moment in time. Using examples from the great, like Joan Crawford, great actress, and the emergence of AI-generated performers like Tilly. The discussion examines how fame, career, technology, and culture constantly evolve. The central message is that while parents cannot control their children's entire future, they can provide the foundational skills, values, and habits that allow them to navigate whatever future emerges. So welcome back to the show for families. This is officially the first week of summer break, and it's hot outside, and everybody's having a great time. A lot of people are planning, swimming lessons and that sort of, fun activities, and probably even preparing for the 4th of July. And so most backpacks are put away. Most people have turned off their alarms. They're sleeping in. And the school year is behind most people. And now comes that question every parent eventually faces: what happens next? Summer gives us an opportunity to think about something bigger than grades, report cards, and even test scores. It gives us an opportunity to think about the future, not just next semester or the next school year, but really the future. Who do we want our children to become? What skills will they need? And what kind of world will they inherit? Because if history teaches us anything, is this: the world changes, and it changes faster than we think. Again, welcome back to the channel, and for my many families. Let's think about some of the biggest celebrities from different generations. There was a time when Joan Crawford was one of the most recognizable names in entertainment, really a cultural icon, a household name, a major influence in American culture. And now I bet you don't even know who she is. You don't even know who this name is, and some of you may. And then there's years later in the 80s, we have Laura Branigan, as she became one of the defining voices of her generation. Songs that were on the radio. There was concerts, huge concerts, millions of fans, and for a period of time, both women represented major moments in popular culture. But time moves forward. New generations arrive, new trends emerge, new technology appears. The world changes. So the people who seem impossible to replace eventually become part of history, and they become replaced. And that isn't meant as criticism, it's a reality. Fads change, technology changes, industries change, and even our culture changes. And the question for parents becomes, are we preparing our children for today's world only, or are we preparing them for a future we can't yet even fully see? So this brings me to an article I recently read from the New York Times about an AI named Tilly. And she's an actress. I really could never have imagined this. Think about that for a moment. An AI actress. Just a few years ago, many people would have considered this science fiction. Now we're having serious discussions about artificial intelligence participating in industries once considered exclusively human. So whether you love AI or you hate AI, this isn't really the point. The point is change. The point is adaptability. The point is recognizing that many jobs, industries, and opportunities our children will encounter may not even exist, or they don't even exist yet. Likewise, some careers that seem secure today may look very differently in the next 20 years. So that means that education cannot simply be about memorizing information. A robot can do that. Children need to know how to critically think. They need to know how to communicate. So they need communication skills. They need to know how to solve problems. So they need problem-solving skills. And they also need to be creative. They need to easily adapt. And they need emotional intelligence. So you need to think about it. Are our schools focusing on that? And are your children adapting to this? And how are they doing with these tasks? Because facts can be searched, technology can automate tasks, but the ability to learn, adapt, and think remains essential. So sometimes parents become so focused on immediate academic performance, and I'm guilty of that we lose sight of the larger mission, and really the goal. And the goal isn't to simply create children who can get good grades or recite facts. And the goal is to raise an adult. So think about that. You're not raising a third grader or a fourth grader. You're raising a human being, a future adult. A person that is going to become a citizen, a worker, a parent, a leader, eventually, we hope, a decision maker. So that would be probably a judge. So I guess that takes us to college. So eventually there comes a point where we can no longer control every choice. Not every child is going to become a judge or a police officer or a lawyer. And honestly, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Children eventually have to take ownership of their own lives, just like you did. You didn't do or become everything your parents hoped you would become. You became your own person. Yeah, they give you certain skills. They helped you become the person that you are today. So similar to your child, they're going to make decisions, and they will pursue opportunities, and they will make mistakes. And they will learn lessons. They will learn their lessons, either the easy way or the hard way. So our responsibility during the early years is not to dictate every future outcome. Our responsibility is to provide the tools, the foundational skills. And the character, the habits, the values. And this is the ability to think independently. Then over time, they will begin to make their own choices and their own decisions. So our mindsets I worry about is when parents assume my child is at school all day. The child and the school will handle everything. Unfortunately, that's not how education works. Schools do play an important role. Teachers do play an important role. And education is a partnership. But parents cannot completely outsource the development of their children. Schools teach subjects. Families help shape character. So schools teach content. Families teach the values. Schools provide the instruction. Whereas families provide guidance. And these all do matter. And that is why summer time, where the living is easy, is one of the clearest reminders of that reality. When school ends, learning should not end. Remember, you are your child's teacher, number one teacher. You're the homeschool, not just homeschool, homeroom teacher. They call it even at school, homeroom teacher. It's a homeschool teacher. That's who you are. Like when they come back home, remember, you're their number one teacher. So learning should never end. This doesn't mean turning your house into a classroom. It means it really means you got to stay engaged and being curious, having conversations, reading together, exploring together, asking questions, and helping your children connect, learning to real life. So again, the first week of summer break is actually the perfect time to evaluate where your child is. So I encourage you to ask yourself, what was difficult this year? What did they struggle with? Was it reading? Was it math, writing? Was it their organizational skills? Was it their confidence? They didn't make friends. They were scared to raise their hands. They were afraid to be called on. Or was it focus? Were they the chatty ones? Were they the ones that were rolling on the floor and the teacher kept calling you because it was a disruption? So this summer, provide an opportunity to address those areas. Maybe it's enrolling in a camp. Maybe it's visiting the library every single day, Monday through Friday. Maybe it's finding a tutor. Perhaps it's simply creating a consistent reading routine. Just you and your child home together. Maybe there's siblings that are younger than them or ahead of them. Getting together and making a routine to read a book. Maybe it's exposing them to something completely new. It could be music, art, science, swimming, coding, any sports, public speaking. Summer doesn't have to be about catching up only. It can also be about discovering their strengths. Some children find their passions during the summer months because they finally have that freedom to explore. So, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a simple thought. Joan Crawford. She was an amazing actress. She had that face, a wonderful face for the camera that they were looking for at that time because everything was in black and white and there was no speech. And eventually not that there wasn't any speech. I mean, in the film industry, you had to be more visual because they didn't have the ability to put voice. into the screen, and then that always amazes me because somehow they were able to put music, but they couldn't put the audio of the actor. Anyway, that's a different topic. And then there's Laura Branigan. An era changed also. She was a wonderful singer. She sang these wonderful songs, and then gone, poof, forgotten. I bet you don't even know who she is. You'll Google her, and then you'll find her song, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that song. I like that song. Or you will say something along, I've heard that on the radio. They still play her songs, but nobody knows her name. And so this is just a demonstration that technology changes, people change, times change, the entertainment changes. I don't really think that it's that the people's attention span changes. It's just whatever's exposed to us changes, and so therefore change happens. And now we're Now we're discussing about AI generated performance, and the world keeps moving. The future keeps arriving. Our children will inherit a world that may look very different from one we know today, just like the people of the early 1900s and the 1980s. We cannot predict every change, but we can prepare our children to navigate the change. We can help them become adaptable and can continue being curious, resilient, thoughtful, independent. And that's why summer matters so much. This is critical because this is when everybody's kind of forced to have their kids at home, and you're kind of forced to be a homeschool parent. Not because we're trying to create a perfect student, but because we're helping develop capable human beings. Parents are the first teachers. The home is the first classroom. Remember that environment. We need to create an environment that's helpful for education. And while there comes a time when children must take charge of their own lives, the foundation we help build today can support them for years to come. So the first week of summer is a great opportunity for you to ask yourself, who do I want my child to become? And what can I do today to help them get here? So thank you again for listening. And until the next time, don't forget to subscribe and like, and leave a comment down below and tell me what you think about the show. Bye.